The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.
Por eso gané, por eso gané. Falla, falla, vamos a ganar otra vez. Falla, falla, no vamos a perder. Falla, falla.
Hello and welcome to another celebratory World Cup edition of Soccer to the Max. As the song says, Russia ganó otra vez. They won 3-1 over Egypt, and they're pretty close to being automatically qualified into the next round. Rachel has been twirling with her flag already.
Can you blame me? 8 goals in 2 matches. I am over the moon. And yes, that was a Sputnik reference. And I mean, at this point, we're just going to win the whole World Cup.
You know, hosts have won it before, so it's not out of the realm, but still got one test. Obviously, we'll see, you know, I think both teams know what happens. The thing is, it's weird because if you wind up first, you could wind up facing Brazil. So it's like, do you want to wind up first in a group? You know?
There's a little bit of an asterisk about that with Brazil. So don't be 100% sure that's a bad thing.
I hate that, like, every freaking tournament, Neymar now just gets hurt. And then he has that excuse. It's like, come on, man. You got to get sturdy.
Okay, but at the very same thing, it's smart. Brazil, I'm surprised they haven't pulled a Colombia and just shot players when they got home from the tournament. I'm amazed that they've gone this far and that hasn't happened.
Because Brazil usually wins things. So
true, but when they lose and they're expected to win, again, look at Colombia '94 with Andres Escobar.
Well, Andres Escobar, that's a whole different ball of wax there. But yes, so we will be talking about Russia and Egypt, even though I don't know how much there is to talk about other than Russia just pulverized them, and Egypt was basically just holding on. And we get the Senegal. The one thing I got right in my whole doing upsets, Senegal getting a win over a Poland that didn't look very good. Because why, guys? Because they're Robert Lewandowski and 10 other players.
Not to mention, I don't see it that way, but a bunch of other people would. They got a gift. A huge gift in that match.
They certainly, Senegal did with the own goal, but...
Not just the own goal.
Oh, the other goal too, but... You never know. At that point, if you're 1-0 in the 86th minute, you're ratcheting it up more defensively than you were at the point. They were up 2-0, you can be a little bit more laxed than they were. So.
But see, here's the thing. The referees, when you wave a guy back onto the pitch after he was receiving treatment, and that guy says, hey, look, I can make a play, sprint 50 yards, and maybe score on an empty net, Poland, that's on you to defend.
Exactly. Poland's not paying attention. So, that's on you, coach. And, of course, also Colombia and Japan that had the first red card of the entire tournament. We almost went an entire round without a red card. Thanks, Colombia. Thanks.
But hey, Japan still got the win. And Sean, just like you said, you have to get one upset in there. Me, I've got at least 10. But Japan is one of the ones that I'm very confident about. Let's pick up the pace, Costa Rica. You too, Japan, Panama.
Japan being down a man really affects how you play. So we'll see how they do in the other two games. Even though the way Poland looked today, I wouldn't be surprised if Japan goes in and just knocks Poland out of the tournament. But, well, they got to play Colombia first, which now Colombia has a hell of a lot more motivation, so they might do that themselves. But
a lot more motivation, and am I the only one that's surprised that with that free kick, that kickers don't do that more often? Because that was pretty genius.
I remember when Ronaldinho did it, and that was like absolute magic. He just kicked it, and everybody freaking... But the thing is, most of the walls don't jump like that. A lot of the walls stay still. So, that's just... He got lucky, really.
Hey, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. At least that match.
A lot of the walls that I've seen have just cowered in fear.
Yeah, they move out of the way. So, that can have to... let's discuss this thing. That's the second obvious handball. The first one was for France, and they gave him a yellow. That one was denying a goal-scoring opportunity if you ever saw one, so I was totally fine with the red.
Oh, yeah. So was I. I was like, okay, your body is here. Your hand is way over here, sticking it out. Sorry, that's a red card.
Oh, no, certainly. And it's a dumb decision. That's way too early to be worried about if somebody scores. You have the whole rest of the freaking match with the players that you have. You're not confident enough that you can score again? That you can score a goal? I mean, come on.
I mean, yes, James wasn't in the starting 11. I can totally understand that, but you're right. It was the 3rd minute of the match. I mean, hell, if I'm in a situation like that watching a match, I'm only just starting to get a drink at the 3rd minute.
Yeah, that guy was drunk on something, but it wasn't that. It's just... I think Colombia, the free kick put him back in it. They had a lot of chances, all being said, to perhaps tie it up again. That was a wicked header on the second goal for Japan. Good job on their part. And I thought Kagawa looked really good. I thought they took a while to bring Okazaki on, which is weird. But, other than that, I thought that Japan played pretty well. But again, being a man down gives you a heck of a lot more confidence. But props to the coach, first time in the World Cup, getting a first win after only being the coach for 2 months. Mm-hmm. And you got the win that I think a lot of people, that was like, oh, that was going to be your hardest team to play against. You got the win there.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe everybody's chasing Japan now.
Yeah, I picked Japan to go through in this group. So, there's that. Plus, not just the first win for the coach, that's in the World Cup. The first time that an Asian team has ever beaten a South American team. Way to get revenge for a 4-1 loss in Brazil. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 14 losses or 13?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, all these records are getting broken this go around right now. And if that game wasn't goofy enough, you had the Senegal and Poland game, which, as we mentioned, also had an own goal, which was the first goal of the game for Senegal. I don't know if you could have really done much about it. It just deflected off someone and goes in. But really, Senegal were playing pretty well. Sadio Mane was terrific for the most part. I still think that they might need to figure out the best position for him, but Cissé not the best tactical mind out there. He's trying, I guess, and
he's a young guy and he's got quite a bit of talent. And as I mentioned, with African teams, you've got a lot of players playing abroad. Yes, there's great individual talent, but you get them together and they kind of struggle as a team sometimes. Today, Senegal just didn't.
Well, and that's because they're really good defensively. Like, there's so many times where I'm sitting here going, okay, I'm waiting for the total klutz, usual thing you see from African teams where they foul and it looks terrible and you're scared they're going to break somebody's leg. And no, they were crisp. The challenges were on time. There were so many times he just cleanly takes the ball. Like, wow. All right. Poland looks awful here. And there was times where they just make the ball completely stop. He takes it, he gets up, and he keeps going. And I'm just like, man, if they'd kill him on some of these counters, they could be up, 2-3-4. But, they couldn't. But it's just, honestly, I mean, Lewandowski didn't really get to do a whole lot. They got the really good header to make things interesting for the last, 6 or 7 minutes. Let's discuss the thing you talked about, Eric. You're bringing on a sub here.
Well,
you're not bringing on a sub. He's injured. So he legally gets back in. The referee waves him back on.
Yes.
And he's very smart.
Yes.
To understand that the ball's going towards the goal. Let me go. I'm fast. Mm-hmm. And he just takes it and slots it in. And you're like, wow. Poland just got caught completely off guard.
Yeah, because how it was, he was injured, so he went, as you do, to past the sideline to receive treatment. He was all good to go. They were ready. He was ready and waiting for the referee, the fourth official, to wave him back onto the pitch. Originally, there was going to be a substitution at that point, but either because he received treatment or other things that were going on, they decided not to substitute. So Poland thought that there was going to be a stoppage in play. There wasn't. So the keeper boots it up, like you do, but then is about 30 yards out of his own net. So as the guy is running back onto the pitch, he's running straight forward. Had a guy chasing him, but slotted in an empty net goal from just about the edge of the 6-yard box. And I'm like, what can you do?
I love the folks saying that the referee owed it to Poland to, make sure he didn't directly get into the play. And it's like, no, he doesn't owe him anything. He put him back on. You're supposed to pay attention for that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what happens when it's a continuous game. You don't have stops for substitutions. So, just a total miscue on their point, and it costs you the game. Right?
Yeah,
because...
I mean, you go ahead if you're doing something like that, then just kick it out of bounds, concede a throw-in, that's a stoppage in play, things go on back to normal. But no. You're going to want to try to go ahead and dick around, and you get burned for it.
I don't think many people would have thought that we're talking about you're fighting for the group in round 2 with Senegal and Japan, and then Colombia and Poland are fighting for who doesn't get eliminated.
Welcome to the group of life.
Certainly, and I think if Hamas is coming in the time he came on, he probably should have started, but that's just me. I'm sure he starts in the next match.
He did, because he did get 30 minutes this time around, and there were some weird kind of tactical substitutions for Colombia, even going down 10 men. They could have done better.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, I get Cuadrado. You couldn't have picked somebody else instead of Cuadrado to take off one of your best players that you need to. I mean, you went down 1-0 in the 3rd minute. Think about that. Like, don't you need to keep some of your offensive guys on? I'm sure you probably thought, okay, we have Hamas on the bag there. You still got Falcao. We're okay. I can kind of understand that a little bit, but yeah, maybe hindsight being 2020, keep him on.
Right.
Yeah, I think honestly that those are going to be two really fascinating games to watch to see who has that killer instinct of, does somebody want to take lead in that group, and does somebody actually come out with a win, or do we have to wait till the final day? You get a draw there, and Colombia and Poland are fighting the other two teams to, see if someone advances. So, and depending on what happens in the Senegal-Japan game, it could be everybody is fighting for the same things. That would be really neat if you have two draws and then everybody's fighting for the same thing at the end. That'd be awesome. I love it when both the games matter.
Yeah, that would be a crazy day, or that crazy little slot for everybody double screening once you get to those two matches, if that's the case.
So, let's discuss the final game of the day. The game that's most important to Rachel. It started the round again for Group A, Russia playing Egypt. Egypt in supposed to be desperation mode, because you lose here, you're pretty much done. Unless there's no one. Unless Saudi Arabia pulls off the miracle of miracles tomorrow, which is probably not going to be the case. But yeah, I don't know. We've seen Uruguay sometimes get too big for their britches, and maybe they don't play all out, or they have another one of those games like where Egypt, but Saudi Arabia's defense is just nothing like Egypt's, where they could actually sit back for that long and not concede, I don't feel like. But either way, for as good as Uruguay made Egypt's defense look, Russia made it look bad. And Mohamed Salah is just not, he can't do it by himself. As great as he is, he doesn't have as good talent as, say, a Ronaldo does or a Messi does to pull him out of this if he's not doing it. And it's easy for Russia to go against him personally and try to take him out of the game.
You know what you just said, Sean? You said Ronaldo and Messi. But guess whose name we're putting next to Ronaldo right now? Denis Cheryshev. Who would have thought that these two are tied right now with the most goals in the tournament? You would have thought Ronaldo, absolutely. But Cheryshev? Come on. Nobody thought that would happen. He has 3 goals. All 3 of his international goals that he's ever scored in the World Cup. He's our go-to guy. I thought it was interesting that Cheryshev, the head coach, started Artem Zayuba and left out Fedor Smolov. But, maybe he just wanted to rest his legs. I think against Uruguay, I think Smolov might start. But he's itching for a goal. He's been in the Russian Premier League. He was, for 2 seasons straight, the top goal scorer, and then this past season he was number 2 on that list. He's itching for a goal right now, and what better time to do it than against Uruguay?
Well, I don't know, man. The way Zuba's been playing, maybe you need to keep him in there, because he scores 2 goals in 2 games.
Well, do you keep him in there, or do you save him for the first knockout round?
Well, I don't think it's about saving. It's just about, hey, he's on a hot streak right now, along with Cheryshev. Keep both guys in there and ride the wave right now. Smolov hasn't been himself.
I would say that if Uruguay was a do-or-die game. But if Uruguay win tomorrow, which they should, Russia's clinched to make it to the knockout round. You want to win the group, And I think they can win the group if you put Smolov up there. He's a good striker. He hasn't scored yet, but he will. He will.
I mean, it's a pick your poison and who you're playing. You're either playing Spain or Portugal, probably. So, I mean, think about it.
And think about, well, I say right now, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But you have that as kind of a super sub option in the second half. And really, oh man, if Russia goes up against Portugal, that would be an extremely intriguing match in the round of 16.
No, yeah, it would be. Just because you've got Ronaldo going against the host nation. Can he get through? Although, Russia's defense isn't pretty solid. I think Uruguay's going to be a big test because, again, Egypt and Saudi Arabia haven't really been able to show anything offensively that makes you worried. That worries your defense at all. That worries your goalkeeper much. So, if Cavani and Suarez are coming on, whether it's a do-or-die game or not, I think you might actually get your first taste of what happens when you have attacking talent going that you're going to get with a Ronaldo or that Spain team. Barring Iran somehow getting a point or something against Spain. And you never know. Iran's pretty steely themselves, so I don't want to totally count them out just yet, but we'll see what happens after tomorrow. But yeah, no, I think definitely, both Eric and I were sitting here going, well, you have to think, Mohamed Salah's going to come back like a beast. He's going to lead Egypt to this magical story of getting out of the group.
Mm-hmm.
And Russia weren't coming in the greatest form, and they were able to just flip that switch. Maybe Putin said something. Who knows? But they've been playing great.
Definitely said something.
He said something to the coach because they've been great ever since this World Cup started.
Look, I'm well aware you are not hockey team, but we spend more money hosting this tournament. You'll do something special. We have new recipe for polonium soup.
That's a better accent than I can do, and I'm from the country. Damn.
You're welcome.
We need to get Russian tales with Eric.
No. I'm going to leave that one this time. Nope.
That's a good. Yep.
So before we close, just because we've had a full round of games and we've seen all the teams, who has impressed? I mean, aside from Russia, who's obviously, I think, over-impressed considering scoring 8 goals and everything in 2 games. Who else is impressed, do you feel, that you think they can take it to the next level and in their next game that they play?
Oh, see, for me, it's tough because, yeah, I am with Ronaldo, with how he has always had fond memories and loves playing in Russia. I really want to see, now that he's kind of gotten that shaky World Cup runs in the past, now that he's got his name on the biggest lights, I want to see how far he can go with a somewhat subpar Portugal team around him. It's okay, now that you have your big triumvirate, we've seen them once. Ronaldo was hey, I've got a significant lead among these 3 guys. I want to be able to run with it. I want to see if he can run with it.
For me, I think it has to be Mexico. The show they put on against Germany was fantastic, and that might have been one of the best games I've ever seen Mexico play. that's what you fear. That's what you think about when we see these games against the U.S. and we've seen Mexico blow them out or whatever. That's the Mexico that I'm used to seeing, and you finally got to see that on a big stage. And, if they can pull that off against South Korea too, I mean, watch out.
I would say for me, it's Switzerland because of how well they kept up with Brazil. Jan Sommer really impressed me. There were a lot of really good goalkeepers in the first round, but he would definitely be in my top 3, if not the number 1. And that's a tough one with Ochoa for Mexico. But yeah, definitely Switzerland. I think that they could take it to the next level. I'd love to see them advance somehow, some way, but I also want to see Costa Rica advance. And I have Brazil winning the tournament. So I'm in a sticky situation here.
Hey, my pick of Belgium, I mean, they've already dished out their first helping of waffles. Just saying.
That was sort of expected, though. I feel like with Belgium, we expected them to do damage to a team like Panama.
But one other thing that I noticed, and I'm kind of glad that this continued. You had mentioned we went through nearly an entire round, an entire match day, before we saw our first red card of the tournament. You realize that we have gone all through match day 1 and now the beginnings of match day 2. So far, we've yet to see a 0-0. I'm curious how long that holds up.
Oh my, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's impressive.
Hot dog.
Too. And I'm impressed with how good VAR has been.
Yes.
Considering how ridiculous it is sometimes in the league, whether it's MLS or Bundesliga or FA Cup or whatever, in the World Cup, it's been precise. They don't take forever.
Quick.
And they get it right. Now, there's times where you could say, okay, like the Miranda push from Switzerland, or I think there was maybe another time where you go, oh, maybe you should have used VAR. But every time they have used it, it's been on the right call.
And I think, honestly, I attribute that to the kind of crews they have working VAR, because all these people, like with the different leagues, are saying, oh, VAR is sloppy, and oh, this and that, and this and that. But if you look at a lot of the crews and a lot of the countries that they have in the room, they've got the best experience and the best of the best as far as getting it right. And I think a lot of these leagues, and hey, from time to time, even us here in the U.S. with MLS, we could take a thing or two from how well in these first matches it's been executed.
Well, also, I think it's the amount of cameras as well. They have exclusive cameras for VAR, which you don't have in the leagues. Because sometimes you have like 1 or 2 cameras, and that's it. In some of these league games. So, I feel like they really made an effort to make sure that this went down well and the use of it worked out well. And we haven't really had one of those where we haven't had to use the offside VAR one yet, which that's good too. So that means the linesmen are on point and everything else. So I've been impressed with all that.
Yeah, well, that's one of the main things that they've mentioned in the broadcast is they've told the linesmen, hey, if it's a close call, keep your flag down. We'll sort it out if we have to. So that puts everything on the linesman. It's like, no, I know what I have to call, what I don't, and try to get myself the best look possible. And so far, these linesmen have done that extremely well.
You wanted to say something, Rachel?
I don't know. Go Russia.
Go.
We're going to win the World Cup. Everyone else should just give up now.
Who do you feel has been like the most disappointing after round 1?
Oof. Oh my goodness. That is hard. Germany, I guess, because they're the defending champions, but I guess to pinpoint not just a team but a player like Thomas Muller has just been awful so far. So yeah, I'd pinpoint him out.
My biggest disappointment, and yes, I know it's early on, but I had significantly higher hopes for Argentina. They've still got time to prove me right, but as good as Iceland has become these last few years, you should have salted that one away.
Yeah, I definitely think that Argentina might be the biggest disappointment right now. Is they scored the early goal and they let Iceland score on them quickly, and then it's like couldn't figure it out, couldn't get the substitutions right. Maybe they picked the wrong 11 to start out. I couldn't figure out how to get through that defense. Messi got super frustrated and then hung his head after the game, and that's not something you want to see either from your leader, which I know he's been through a lot of disappointment with the national team, and maybe that's hurts him a lot because he's used to winning all the time with Barcelona and everything else, but you can't. This is game one. You didn't just lose the World Cup. It's game one. You got two more games.
I mean, yeah, it didn't help him psychologically that one Diego Armando Maradona was clear and present at that match.
I mean, what are they going to do? They're going to ban him from the game because Messi can't handle it?
But this is my exact point. It's like, he's going to be there. You've been all through these comparisons with him your entire career when you don the blue and white of your national colors. And even, hey, Maradona, he wasn't even, although he was eligible, the coach in 78 didn't feel that he was ready, that even he couldn't live up to the pressure of having a World Cup on home soil. What did he do? He busted his ass, and you see how that paid off in 86. You've got to have that same mentality.
Right. Yeah, so I think that sort of wraps it up for this edition here. Russia has looked really good in their two games. On to the third that may or may not matter too much aside from who wants to win the group. And we move on to some big games for tomorrow with Uruguay playing Saudi. It might be a very day, or it might be a very surprising day. So we got that to look forward to. You got Portugal and Morocco first, then it's Uruguay and Saudi Arabia, and then finally it's Iran and Spain to wrap things up. So, all right. Until tomorrow, we'll be back talking more World Cup. Hope you enjoyed what you heard here. If you liked it, hit subscribe. Soccer to the Max. You get every time we do one of the World Cup shows. They're there for you. You can listen on your way to work or whenever it is you have time to do that. You can listen on YouTube, iTunes, so many different places out there. If there's a place where you catch podcasts, it's there. Make sure you check out Rachel's wonderful work at Last Word on Soccer, writing those NWSL recaps, and even the Russia Egypt game today. She did a recap for that, so definitely go check that out. And we'll be back tomorrow with more World Cup. We'll see you later, everybody.
Peace.
See ya.